I'm gonna.
Good.
Hi. I gotta turn the light off, okay? So just give me a second.
Hi, everyone. It's very
Hi.
exciting. All right, I'm supposed to share it here, but I don't know how.
Let me see. So we're just taking care of the particulars, the hatsa fatsa, before we actually do this. So give me 2 seconds, Sarah.
I gotta get in there.
I gotta. Oh, you know what? You guys are more important than me.
No, that's absolutely not true.
Let's see here. Here, I'm live. No. What we're doing is we're on Sarah's page right now, and we are going to share this. So watch. We're sharing it to Sarah's followers. There we go. So there you go. All right, so now your followers are on.
Cool.
Hi, everybody. And see, we have a viewer with comments already, and they are starting to log on, and I love you. I told you after the 1 October tragedy that the way I was changed is I said there are two things. One, I'm going to eschew and get rid of and turn off and unfollow any divisive voice in this world, any sort of troublemaker and yuck. And I'm going to tell people I love them, like a lot. And I don't care
I love you, Reed.
I love you, and I love you. And I don't care
Thanks
how...
for making time for us.
Oh, it's so fun. So I love you, and I'm glad you're all following. You're seeing the hearts and people starting to watch us. So I want to tell you who these wonderful people are that are in my meditation room here at my house. This is Sarah Mclean.
Hi, everyone.
Hay House author, 2 books. How many books now?
Well, I've written 3. 2 are with Hay House.
2 are with Hay House. Okay. And we'll talk about what those books are here at the end of this Facebook Live. Sarah has the McLean Meditation Institute in Sedona, Arizona. She knows what she's talking about because, you lived in a Buddhist
monastery for 2 years.
Peeling potatoes at first.
Yeah, chopping. Well, not just at first, the whole time. I was the cook there.
She was the cook, but she also learned a lot there. And that led to a whole bunch of interactions that ended up at Deepak Chopra becoming his educational director.
Right. I also lived in a transcendental meditation community. I lived in an ashram in India. And now I live in an ashram with my husband, Marty, in our house.
Marty, I always joke that you have the eyes of a teenager.
I do.
Like, look at his eyes. There's a brightness in his eyes. So, Marty, I'm going to let Marty tell his story because it's sort of, I'm amazed, and he's my spirit guru because he has achieved so much success, and he's kept his heart, his integrity, and his soul while doing so. He also has, I'm aware of at least 1 book. But you had great success you have 5 books? What's wrong with me?
That's all right. They're all the same name. So if you thought about 1 book, you got it all covered.
So can you just really quickly, you sent me a YouTube video about a year ago that talked about how you were able to take some companies public. Let's talk about that and establish what we're doing is establishing who you are.
Well, I think the most important thing from my experience there was when I was very young, I had a Kundalini experience when I was about 20 years old. And it was so profound and so powerful that at that particular moment I just kind of I dropped out of college and I said I don't really have to do anything other than listen carefully. And not graduating, I ended up taking 2 companies public. One in 1988, which is a women's athletic footwear company called Rika, which a lot of people are familiar with. And the second company was a bicycle helmet company. And I retired in 1994.
Now, we use this, retired, because they're so busy in the world doing good.
We're in Las Vegas now. We're really not that busy.
But my main thing I do every day now is I run silent meditations twice every single day at Sarah Center. And sometimes I have 2 people come, sometimes 20 people come, sometimes nobody comes. And it doesn't make any difference to me because I'm just having such a good time with myself.
Yeah, and so they're in Las Vegas, and they spent some time here in Las Vegas, and I said, okay, we've got to do a Facebook Live for all of my wonderful Facebook Live community. Sarah and Marty, I have people from all over the world who watch this, not only here in Las Vegas. And I always tell them they're my Sangha, they're my community, they're my people. And I truly do love them. And we formed a real bond, and we started to see the numbers really spike when I covered the 1 October tragedy here in Las Vegas. And so I know that those of you who are watching likely are still wading through the mud of all of that. And so I wanted to just ask Sarah and Marty, and we're going to talk about a wide range of topics here, but I wanted to start just thinking about those of you who are still recovering from the trauma and the sorrow and the heartache of what happened on 1 October. Even if you weren't down there on the strip, you didn't know somebody who was wounded or killed, you watched news coverage that likely laid your heart wide open. And I wanted to talk to 2 meditation experts about how meditation can actually help heal a heart.
Well, I started with meditation as helping people with post-traumatic stress disorder, whether they were
in the military, right?
Yeah, the military, and whether they were suffering from an acute situation like all of those who have suffered that right on October 1st, or whether it was 9/11. But in the military, of course, it's wartime. But, post-traumatic stress can occur just by being in a really toxic situation chronically over time, whether you were a little kid or whether you were in a bad relationship or even a toxic relationship with your job or your own body. But, meditation really helps to put you back together. It helps to restore, I'd have to say, the wholeness that's already there, that even when the nervous system is rocked to the core, even though it seems like there's no safety in your world, there is this safe place that's in the interior of you that you can find again. It hasn't gone away. There's no such thing as losing your soul.
Yeah, in fact, that is what you will always have, and you will always have that you can count on, right? All that you have is your soul, as a Tracy Chapman. And I love what you said, and I think Marty maybe could scaffold off of that, because I've been studying Kundalini. I know you study it quite a bit. A lot of people who do Kundalini, which is a tradition that rises up out of the yogic traditions, believe that you have cellular memory and that your issues are stored in your tissues. And many of you know that I lost a child, and I've shared the story. And if you haven't seen it, you can go to YouTube and type in Reed Cowan TED Talk. And you can see what I went through by way of a horrific trauma and losing a child in a very violent way. And over 9 years, there was a great deal of atrophy that happened within my own metaphysical soul. I don't care if you say the word soul or your energetic space. The Hindus say Atma. There are many, many words to call it. But you do have an energetic space. Marty, do you believe that people do store traumas and issues in their tissues and maybe in a cellular memory sort of way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that all the ancient scriptures talk about that. The central nervous channel, the Sushumna, they're saying these past impressions from this lifetime and past lifetimes, you're bringing that whole thing with you. And that's what you're undoing in this lifetime by meditating or trying to, these breathing exercises and the thing that people try to do, whether it's Kundalini or other types of yoga, is removing those things, burning them up, exposing them, having them come out when you're meditating. That's when people have different types of experiences, whether their body is actually physically moving or jumping off the ground, or there are some people, when it comes to my meditations, that I say, hey, anything goes. You start crying or laughing or screaming or whatever happens to be. It's very cathartic, and it's a release ends up taking place during that process.
The people who've been coming to my meditation classes, I teach twice a week here in Las Vegas at Lifetime Fitness in the Summerlin location. People came and they either had somebody who was in the hospital, or they knew somebody who had been killed, or they just were very traumatized. And I watched them struggle in their meditations. Yeah. I watched them close their eyes and really have a hard time getting back to their center. And I watched them sort of slap themselves on the wrist and say, I just can't do this. I'm too traumatized. One woman couldn't even close her eyes for an extended period of time because she didn't feel safe.
Right.
Yeah.
That sense of safety you talked about was gone. And what I told them, and I want you to tell me if I'm telling them wrong, because you are my teachers after all, is that you're exactly where you need to be, and you're doing the work. And maybe you are feeling like your breath is shallower up here in your chest and not drawn down into your abdomen. Maybe you aren't feeling centered, but you're here and you're leaning into your stillness. And you are doing what I believe our cells are programmed to do, which is to reintegrate, to reassemble, and to restore. Reintegrate, reassemble, and restore. Damn, that's good.
Yeah. Well, I think of it as a defragment. I think
look at all these hearts.
Defrags, as a computer, it defrags its hard drive. Mm-hmm. And I feel like quite often, if you're suffering from trauma, you can sit with your eyes gazing towards the floor. You don't have to breathe deeply. You don't have to do anything. As a matter of fact, it's all about being. And what happens is the technique is what does the work. You don't have to do any work. We've had this conversation before. You just simply have to have the intention to sit for a particular period of time. And I love what you said about leaning back. Mm-hmm. You lean back or lean into your practice. I think of it as leaning back so that the emergency is off. Mm-hmm. Take your foot off the accelerator, let yourself coast for a little bit. And meditation will work if you do it. Not if you think about it or talk about it or read about it, but if you do it. That's why he does it every day at my center, twice a day. I teach all the time. Yeah,
twice a day. So what is your practice every day? And just because he's going to probably wow you with his answer doesn't mean you have to do it.
No.
Because Sarah and I will dumb it way down for you after he answers. This is me reading your mind. You're going to say you're there for 2 hours at a time.
No, I'm there for
hooked up to a catheter so you don't have to go to the bathroom.
Everything shuts down.
No, really, what's your practice?
I think that I like to talk about the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras a lot because he gives 10 different ways that you can experience samadhi, and really the goal of
samadhi is that integration.
Yeah, integrate total fusion.
Mind, body, spirit.
Yeah, whether it's your mind is still functioning, which is like a sarvakapa samadhi or nirvikapa samadhi, where it's completely blown out. That's where the word nirvana comes from. It's like blown out. So just imagine your sense of I is gone, the sense of the mind is gone, and there's an overwhelming experience of bliss. So the reason that I do it is because of that, and there's many ways. Patanjali, right from the beginning of the Yoga Sutras, he tells you how you can do it. You can do it by just surrendering, by watching your breath, by listening to Om, by imagining there's light in your heart, by meditating on somebody whose mind is quiet, like whether it's a saint or Jesus or whoever it might end up having to be.
And it doesn't matter. Meditation is for any faith tradition.
Right,
any.
Right. Whether
or
it's
none.
Buddha, or recalling it in an aha moment. Like you have an aha moment. Many people have had an aha moment, and they think, well, that happened to me. It was like that experience of that moment, that is your true nature. You can actually go back and sort of recall that. That's like a meditation. Just do that. Or if it's happening to you in a dream, that happens to you in a dream. It's like that is your true nature. Just meditate on that. Become one with that. And the last thing it says, you can meditate on any object that is pleasing to you. Any object. I like to joke a lot of times, especially being in Vegas here, that could be like a pair of shoes. like pumps. I mean, all these shops are around and people are
and here we're all barefoot in my studio.
And you're buying a bag or whatever it happens to be. It's because there's always a sense of separateness between you as a perceiver and whatever that object is. When those things merge, an experience of joy comes up. It's like, it sounds like insane, but it's really, really true.
And I think the common thread in everything you said is that in all of those things, you find a single focus.
Right.
And whether that's your breath, something you're thinking about, something you're focusing on, and everything else falls away, people. And that's the great thing. Who wouldn't like to just focus on one thing and let all the other BS that's weighing you down fall away? I always tell my meditation students, the heavy things don't belong to us. They don't belong to us. So if you find a single focus, you can let those heavy things fall away.
Yeah, and you said a single focus. Sometimes people need two.
Okay.
Sometimes they're breathing and saying a mantra.
Yeah, got it.
Sometimes they're doing japa and repeating a mantra, so they're doing beads and doing mantras.
Or sata nama.
Right, so you're using sound and touch. So you can so basically the ingredients for meditation really are your willingness to sit and do it, no matter how difficult it might get, especially if you're going through trauma. Number 2 is your gentle, non-judgmental attention. And number 3 is a focus or 2, or even 3. Some people walk, they chant, and they're doing beads. So, I mean, you can do all 3 if you need to. But what ends up happening, just to dumb down what Marty was saying, is always you, or I, and thou, whatever it is I'm paying attention to. And over the period of time, the duality and the differentiation dissipates, and then there's this fusion. So that, which you think is separate, and you, which you might seem as separate, they come together, and it's just spontaneous. You can't make it happen by thinking about it. And as in any fusion experience, what is left is gamma rays, and photons. So what is a photon? It's a particle of light. So you and that which you're paying attention to fuse, and all that's left is light.
And who wouldn't love that?
And light and love.
Light and love.
Yeah.
But
which
you
is
don't have to try too hard.
Which is your home.
And your safety. And you don't have to try hard to have that experience. The nature of meditation is it happens. You don't have to be especially brilliant, dedicated, have a high IQ, or go to a monastery. Everybody has access to this. Yeah.
And what I always tell my students is this: don't get frustrated. Be gentle with yourself. I learned this from Sarah when I went to her school in Sedona, McLean Meditation. Be gentle with yourself, because, it's like people who go to a gym. You don't walk into the front door of the gym at 9 a.m. and by 11 a.m. walk out with rippling abs, washboard abs, and biceps, and, whatever else you want to have, and a booty to kill. Wouldn't that be nice, right? To just be Beyonce in 2 hours. If we can do that, if you can take that public, we'll be very wealthy. We could own countries, but it's not going to happen. But you lean in to having the perfect booty and the 6-pack abs, right? You lean into it every day. And so if your meditation experience is frustrating, just bless and be kind with yourself and say, I leaned into my silence. I leaned into that stillness. I leaned into having light and peace in my life. And just know it's okay, right? And these are the things I learned in Sarah's book. It's Simple, Easy, Everyday. This is your method, seed method.
Simple, Easy, Everyday meditation. I also wrote the book Soul Centered, which is
about
reclaiming your interior and not outsourcing your happiness or safety.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one. You're it. It's not out there. I mean, looking out there, as you know, is unstable. What's stable is connecting to that deepest part of you in here. And then the other book I wrote is The Power of Attention.
Brand new.
And that's new because, you're the one who gets to decide what you're going to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. Just like you said, I'm not paying attention to division and divisiveness. I'm not paying attention to someone who is constantly trying to say that what I'm doing isn't working. I'm going to pay attention to that which supports my belief system, which is that there can be peace on earth, one nervous system at a time.
One of my favorite sayings is attributed to Lao Tzu, who says, and I'm going to roughly quote it here, if there's to be peace on earth, there must be peace in the nations. If there's to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in our cities. If there's to be peace in our cities, there must first be peace in our neighborhoods. If there's to be peace in our neighborhoods, there must first be peace between neighbors. And if there's to be peace in the neighborhood and neighbors, there must be peace in your home. In order to have peace in your home, you have to have peace
in your heart.
In your heart.
Yeah. And it is there. I love that. That's the one I love. Sorry I messed with you on that.
I love it. I love it because we have peace together. And they're my teachers, by the way.
Oh.
So
everybody's
I want
my
them
teacher.
to. Well, and that's why you're wonderful. So let's scaffold off of that. So, those are some good tools if you're still dealing with, as I am, the 1 October tragedy. And just try it. As with anything in yoga or meditation, just try it on and see if it works.
Can I give them quickly 5 essentials? So you already heard that you have to be kind to yourself. Mm-hmm. The second thing that's important, or second essential for meditation, is to recognize that your mind's going to get off topic and you come back to whatever that focus may be. So you have to choose something to pay attention to, whether it's
like
your breath, or a poem, or a prayer, or a mantra, or you can even count your breaths. But you have to choose something as your focus initially. So be kind to yourself, even if you go off topic. Number 3, don't expect anything. The benefits of meditation really occur when you're not meditating. You're training your nervous system with meditation, but then the benefits show up when you're walking around and you're feeling comfortable in your own skin, or you're feeling more confident, or you're feeling more connected. And then number 4, don't try too hard. Don't try to stop thinking. Don't try to be enlightened. Don't try to be peaceful when you're not. Be what you are. And number 5 is stick with the practice, which means if you've chosen to meditate for 5 minutes, don't stop after 3 minutes and say it's not working. Stick with the whole 5 minutes, because the unraveling, the defragmenting, all that stuff that's in the nervous system has to move out. And sometimes when it's moving out in meditation, there can be some discomfort, some movement, some tears, some deep breaths, some tightness. So stick with it and get on the other side of that.
Yeah, in fact, you are on the other side of all of that discomfort. You're on the other side of it.
Yeah, you are. That the real you is on the other side of that.
Yeah, and we like you, the real you. Now, the fake you, I don't know.
I like it all. I welcome everything.
So let's talk about the holidays. Okay, so I was just on NPR. I heard from a lot of you who said, I heard you call into NPR to settle a beef that you have with your mom, because they had these designers on NPR about how to dress your holiday table, the kind of drinks to have. And so I thought, perfect, I'm going to be their first call-in guest, and we're going to settle the score that I'm having with my mother, because I hate her table runners that she dresses her table with.
Okay, but before we even, I want to give them some credibility here. If you walk into this house, I don't know if you ever will, but let me just tell you, it's gorgeous. Everything is in the right spot, so I tend to believe whatever you're going to say here.
Thank you very much. But, so anyway, some of you laughed and then some of you heard that on NPR, and thanks for the hearts, because that tells me you heard it. And it doesn't matter if I'm right that table runners are out and that they're ugly and that my mother tends to dress her tables like altar tables, and I just can't, as you heard me say on the radio. It doesn't matter what advice I got, and it doesn't matter that they said I was right. But what does matter is that I focused on a frustration during the holidays, and it got in the way of my relationship with my mom. And so what we focus on expands, and how during the holidays can even 10 minutes of meditation, like walking away from your food, walking away from the guests, and just finding a quiet place for 10 minutes, how can it help us to find peace in our families if we want to have peace in our families?
Well, one practice I do, and
besides wine,
that's one thing I like to do. I like to wine and drink wine. But besides that, one of my teachers, and some of you know Ram Dass, be here now. He says, if you think you're enlightened, go spend a weekend with your family. So here's the enlightened part: don't spend the weekend with your family. Spend as much time as you feel comfortable spending, instead of what you feel like you should do. I feel like putting your own parameters around it. Decide your boundaries. Don't let them be decided for you. That's been very helpful for me, because I did a lot of shoulds. I should spend this much time. I need to go back for this. I don't do it anymore. And we love the holidays. We don't do anything. We go for a hike. We meditate. We're vegan, so he's vegetarian. And so we don't really eat meat. We don't eat meat. We sometimes have fish, but honestly, we don't. Cooking, we just like the vegetables and going for walks and hanging out with our dogs. It's pretty simple. You
found your peace during the holidays, and I think every one of us has to do that. And it's okay to give yourself permission to say, this is how I define peace. And again, when you meditate, that definition will rise up out of you, and then you can build your life and your life decisions around it.
And here's another thing that I know happens with meditation, and I think this happens for Marty too, not to speak for him, but you start to develop this witnessing awareness, so that you're in the world, but not necessarily, you're leaning back, yet you're present. It's not like you're checked out or disassociating. You're totally present, but you're not in the drama.
You're not attached.
Yeah. So that bearing witness is important. And also another key is to have a beginner's mind. If Uncle Tom is always doing this, or Aunt Mary's always doing that, or your brother's always doing this, just look at them as if for the first time, instead of assuming you know what they're going to say, do, or think. Just watch them like you're watching a dog or a cat or a zoo animal.
Yeah. Well,
Is that true?
Go, yeah.
A zoo animal?
Yeah. Although I would probably try and get them out of the cage, but yeah. What would you do?
I just love what is.
Yeah.
Whatever's happening there. I mean, sometimes it could be like a crazy situation or scene, but it's like, what does it really have to do with me? If it moves me internally that I need to say something or express something, I know internally because I can feel it, and I'll say it. But for most situations, I just, I'm letting it go because it doesn't really have any charge for me. It's sort of like, it's interesting.
Okay, so if I had called you instead of NPR and broadcast my family drama to thousands of people,
That must be.
You would have said, look at the beige table runners and love what is.
Well, I would say she's loving what is. Well, I'm going to love what is. But then if I felt internally like, you know what? I have to say something to her because it hurts too much to hold it down, which is, I think you really got to, because once you did say it, it's sort of like you were initially talking about, you're storing the stuff, it's cellular inside.
Yeah.
Those tablecloths could be cellular for you.
Okay.
I have to say it, and you said I got it out. It's like, right, you know what? Every other Christmas after this, it's like, she knows.
She knows that I think they're hideous.
That's right.
Well, listen,
That's
it doesn't
right.
really
So
matter.
it's like that.
In the scheme of
you
things.
free yourself up.
You
free yourself up.
But here's the other thing, the power of attention. You already said it. What you put your attention on is enlivened in your awareness. If you look for ways that your mother is wrong, you're going to find them, whether it's the table runner or the way she walks or what she's wearing or what she makes for dinner.
You're going to live your life with the wrong version.
Yeah, because the mind wants to be right.
Yeah.
So you're going to look to prove that your mind is right, that your mother is so-and-so. Or, whatever, whoever it may be, your brother, your ex-wife, whoever it may be. So the other thing is that you get to decide what you want to pay attention to. Mm. So there's the beige table runner, but I bet there's some beauty over there in some way, shape, or form, whether it's in her eyes or in her casserole dish or in her Christmas tree. So start to notice what you're looking for and pay attention to that. Because you'll notice not only is what you're looking for enlivened, it also has an effect on you. Mm.
I love that. Okay, so I have to unpack that. Mm-hmm. You're saying that we can all live with the version that we choose of our loved ones. So I can live with the loving version, the version of my mother that serves my heart. And there's abundant supply of that.
But you have
other
to be
than the table runners.
You have to be deliberate in that practice, though. It actually have to be deliberate.
That's beautiful. That's transformative to a lot of relationships. You can live with the version of a person that you choose to live with.
But I think the other thing that's important is you cannot live beyond your evolution. You cannot start looking at them with rose-colored glasses and saying, this is how I'm going to see them, when internally you can feel something that's uncomfortable. If you keep on going back to, I'm going to keep on looking at rose-colored glasses, you're doing a disservice to yourself.
That's a disservice.
And you're doing a disservice to them.
Emotional constipation.
Yeah, right. So basically, let it out.
Break
Let
it
it
down.
out. I would do that.
Well, you
And
can say,
then move
Mom,
to that.
you can say, Mom, I know you love your beige table runners, and I bought you a tablecloth.
Yeah.
and a stick of matches. No, but this is all good stuff. These are the things that come up. Like,
Yeah.
you know, families have a lot of joy, but there's a lot of other stuff. And Thanksgiving is the time that it comes up.
I love Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, I love to be grateful. I love waking up with the thank you going on first thing in the morning.
Oh, let's do that. So, gratitude meditation is huge.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about something so simple. I met with a group of women in Phoenix or Scottsdale like Wednesday. And I said, think about this, and maybe you want to think about it. How do you wake up in the morning? What is your first 5 minutes of your day? What does it look like typically? Do you use your phone to wake you up? And if so, do you grab it to check the time and then all of a sudden get sucked into Facebook or the news or, you know, I don't know what else you might, Instagram, who knows? Emails, whatever, all the bells and whistles. Or do you wake up, buy your alarm, go analog, by the way. Try and find something that's not digital. Go analog. Old-fashioned alarm clocks are good. And then when you wake up, come out of meditation. I mean, waking up slowly and then go into meditation. But really be grateful for this morning. Instead of having your attention immediately hijacked, the to-do list immediate, having this thought, I didn't sleep enough, I don't have enough pairs of black pants, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time to get what I need to do done, and the kids aren't, ready, or whatever the story is, before all of that emergency mode, which is fight or flight, take a few moments and really savor that restful experience of waking up. A couple of moments of thank you. That's what I like to do. I've been doing that a lot lately. He hasn't seen me in the morning that much anymore.
Where the hell
I'm
are you?
just chilling. He's up at 4.
I'm up.
But you have a first 5 minutes. You have a first 5 minutes. Okay, so that is something I really think that can be practical for you that you can take away from this today. Hopefully this has really been helpful to you because they radiate in my life, and I always take a lot of mental notes, and then I keep a journal and I write these things down. But let's make that an assignment, and maybe over the next several days you can come back to this thread and comment how you transformed your first 5 minutes for gratitude in your life. Your first 5 minutes. And that makes me think about, we all had our first 5 minutes on this planet when we took our first breaths, our first 5 minutes. And that first 5 minutes was the most important series of minutes in your life. That's when your body learned to support your energetic self and fuse you into this physical experience we're having. That's when you entered the world of sense and sensory perception of everything. You didn't think your way into this world. You sensed everything that was happening to you. And that was an important first 5 minutes. So maybe know that you had that first 5 minutes. That was the building blocks for all that you are here in this world. And give yourself 5 minutes every morning to really wake up with gratitude. And then come back to this and share what that's been like for you. Transform your first 5 minutes. You should write a book the first 5 minutes.
Go analog. Well, I am thinking about doing that. It's actually thinking about how to create peace in the home based on that Lao Tzu poem. Because it's really, I don't know what your home life is like, but there's a lot of chaos. There's that emergency fight or flight. And it's just a habit. We have to deliberately come back to this moment. And the first 5 minutes, for a child, when they're born, they don't know there's separation between you or them and anything else. It's all
integrated
love. It's all love. There's no separation. There's no I and thou. And so maybe that's what it's like when you wake up. Maybe it's all beauty, all love. Go analog for 5 minutes a day. And then get on digital and tell Reed how it's going.
Oh, that's good. What else did we want to talk about? Self-awareness?
Are there any questions?
Okay, let's do questions. Let's do questions here.
I can't tell.
How do we do this? We're going to scroll. We're going to take this light and just do something with it.
Nice.
Okay, so here we go. We have so many comments. Melissa, Linda, hi, lots of hearts. I want your questions. So Tavita wants to know where the books can be purchased.
Oh, Amazon, obviously. But you can go to my website, too. And Amazon. So Marty's books are called Field of Love. He has a biography or autobiography. He's got the book.
With the same eyes on the cover.
Yeah, he's an altar boy on the cover.
Right, a 7-year-old.
And he's also got Without This Thought, Who Am I?
Mm-hmm.
He's got
That was my Sunday meditation theme in class.
That's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 5 different ones, but I don't know. They're all on Amazon?
Yeah, yes.
And then you can get mine on Amazon, Soul Centered, or you can go to Hay House and get them, hayhouse.com. Soul Centered and The Power of Attention. My last name is spelled Mclean. His last name is spelled Birrittella. That's why I didn't take his last name. I love it though.
Right.
It's like Mississippi.
Yeah. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. So you can get the books that answers that question. And please share your questions here. And also, even after this Facebook Live, you can pose your questions. Sarah and Marty will watch the thread. And oftentimes, in the first 24 hours, that's when the questions really come, and you start to see that. Waved, the 5 Essentials, love it. Do you know Shauna Teeling?
Oh, hi, Shauna.
Nice. Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. There's Bardini.
You're seeing lots of friends here.
Hi, Shauna again. Let me see what's that.
Roshana.
Oh gosh, so a lot of the people that are on this call, Reed, they're going to be happy to know that Reed went through the Meditation Teacher Academy. Mm-hmm. How many years ago was that?
4 years ago now.
4 years ago. He's a. For those of you who don't live in Las Vegas, he is an Emmy award-winning newscaster. His closet, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, at least 12 Emmys.
Which I keep in the closet because I don't even care about it.
That's unbelievable.
I mean,
he's going to be at the, we're having a meditation teacher symposium in January for all the people. We've had 300 people go through the program. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, if you have the urge to become a meditation teacher, you have to get a year of practice under your belt every single day. But it is a wonderful experience to teach meditation. That's
I love it. Yeah.
your world.
I love
yoga, meditation.
Yep. Michael says, how to turn off and on meditation, or do you have to be in a zone?
No, you don't have to be in a zone. Meditation is the zone. It actually is the 4th state of consciousness. Most of us are either awake, asleep, or dreaming. Meditation is the 4th state of consciousness. It's sort of unplugging, yet not being in a dull state of awareness like sleep. So you don't have to turn it on or off. It turns itself on and off.
Mm. Yeah, and don't you think that that perception really gets in the way of somebody leaning in to a practice? They say, well, I have to be able to have the experience I read about or hear about. You know, I have to levitate 3 inches above the floor, see the color purple through my nostrils, you know, whatever, all the big woo-woo type stuff. You don't.
Let go of all expectations and recognize that meditation works even if you don't think it works. It's working even if you don't think it works. You know, there are studies that will sort of measure brain waves of a meditator, blood pressure, respiration rates, and even if they're having, you know, a to-do list marathon, they're still having a deep meditation.
Yeah, and he says, nice. So that's good. Any tips? Tani wants to know any tips on how to quiet the mind.
Oh, well, meditation will quiet the mind. You do not quiet the mind.
You make yourself available to letting your system do what it's automatically programmed to do.
Yeah, that's a real trick because meditation is touted for letting you think more clearly and have more space between your thoughts, of becoming a better choice maker. But it's not because you magically don those qualities. In fact, they're generated from the practice that you're not the one stopping the mind from thinking. It's the nature of your mind to think, just like it's the nature of your eyes to see. So meditation doesn't magically stop you from thinking. In fact, what you're doing is you're training your attention to come back again and again and again to this point of your meditation, whatever that may be.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so
Vardini.
Vardini.
Hey, Vardini.
I'm sorry that if I got your name wrong. Field of Love, who am soul-centered, going to get all of...
Oh, she's answering.
Oh, going to get them all. Oh, great. Judy, sorry. Judy Lewis Malone, I admire you both so much. I've learned so much from you. Thanks for being the real stuff. Okay, so Roshana is speaking while having transcendence common. Guided meditation last week, and I transcended, but I was still able to talk, but I knew that I wasn't. Okay.
Okay, Roshana. Roshana's in Texas, I think.
The next question.
And I love that question because for me, that's a yogic practice, is to be a meditation teacher, guiding a meditation. See, you're not checked out, you're checked in, but there's an ability to be able to guide and still be in that deep stillness. So that's an advanced technique. It's not for everybody, but I love that you have that experience. And it's once you get really comfortable with guiding meditation, you do this. you can really find that deep silence in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it can be present during that movement.
And really, I find light. I mean, we say silence, but I just find light. I feel like I get to go home for a minute where all good things exist. So I love this next question. How do we explain that? Oh, go ahead.
Can I just finish with Prashana?
Sorry.
There's I think it's in the Bhagavad Gita, Yogastha Kuru Karmani, which means established in being, perform action. That's why all meditation teachers and everyone who's doing any kind of work to establish that presence and then perform the action, that's the real yoga. It's not just asana and pranayama. It's being very present in whatever you're doing. Like me right now, like Marty right now, like Reed right now, like you right there.
Yeah, asana is the movements of yoga that you see if you go to a class. Pranayama, the breath exercise that you hear. So I love this next question. I feel like I know the difference between meditation and prayer, but I'll let you two answer because you're smarter than me. But I have an answer that I love to provide.
Go for it.
You do it first. I mean, there's so many.
So prayer, to me, is talking to your God, your creator, your source energy. Prayer is talking to your source. Meditation is listening to your source, your God, whatever you define that as.
See, that's not how you want me to tell you? I love that, though. That's a common description, so I want to just refine it the way I see it.
Please, yes.
Or hear it.
Okay.
So, yes, I feel like prayer is having a conversation, a communion with the divine. Meditation, I think of as two giant Q-tips that are getting you so clear and opening your awareness so much that you can hear the divine in every single moment.
And I love that. Yeah, so I feel like it's the same.
Meditation
You just said it
is
better.
purifying your nervous system. I actually don't hear the divine in meditation. I get it when I'm walking through the world. So meditation serves to
set you up.
Open up the senses, help me become much more attuned to my inner wisdom or the divine wisdom, so that when I'm walking through the world, I hear, see,
it's there.
feel. Yeah, it's there.
Omnipresent, omniscient, right? What about you? What's the difference? Or do you agree with your wife so that she'll give you a ride home?
I agree with my wife. She is driving.
I am driving.
Then they say thank you and hi and yes and hi, Gigi. Come on in. That's Grandma. She says we're here. Come on. So it's now 1. I have to get these kids fed before I go off to work.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
On News 3 Live at 3. I'll be there. And I love you all, and I thank you for watching this. And please do me a favor, hit the share button and sound off, ask questions, and all of us will watch those questions come in, and we'll jump in and have a conversation, okay? It doesn't end with the Facebook Live. What else was I going to say?
Well, I just want to say this is my first Facebook Live. Oh, maybe my second. But this is really fun, so thanks for making it happen.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, look at the heart. What I learned is that it's a huge, wonderful tool, and I'm going to be, the workshop I'm giving at Sarah's opportunity, what are we calling it? Symposium. It was so fun to say. The Symposium is going to be about how meditation, and really any peacemaker in the world can extend their reach through Facebook Live. And so I want to thank all of you who watch. And the more you share, the more I'll be able to tell people at the symposium, look at how many people you can touch by talking about peace. And we'll see the numbers stack up, and I'll be able to really make an object lesson of the power of Facebook Live, and you'll be surprised. In
so
24
before
hours,
you
you'll see
leave,
it.
can I say something before you leave?
No.
Yes. So this is for you, because usually I don't even like to appear and do anything without meditation being part of it. So before you disconnect, if you can turn your attention to that presence that's looking through your eyes, that's listening through your ears, and tuning into that real, true you, just for a moment. And then ask yourself, what is that? Who am I? Who's the one sitting here? That'll take you home.
And that's what we want for all of you. A little bit of peace in this world, right? Hey, we love you. Have a happy day.
Thank you.
Bye.